Hello, what have we here? And welcome to another episode of the There Are More of Us show, where we celebrate creators spreading positivity and joy through their love of Star Wars. Today's guest is Kelly Knox, author of the Be More Obi-Wan book and the upcoming Star Wars Dad Joke book. So stick around and find out why Kelly loves Star Wars and find out more about her. There are more of us. Hello, what have we here? Welcome, Kelly, to the show. It's great to have you.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with your content, and I'm sure other people are as well, even though they may not know it's you. So, what kind of content do you make?
I'm a writer for StarWars.com. I've been doing that since 2016, I think. Oh my gosh. And I'm also an author of some Star Wars books. Be More Obi-Wan is maybe one you've heard of. And I'm far too much on Twitter, Star Wars Twitter. So you might know me from there. I'm Kelly_Knox on there. So yeah, I'm all over the Star Wars.
Yeah. So you write for Star Wars. You wrote for the website. So it's my guess you've been in the game for a minute. What is your Star Wars story? How'd you get into Star Wars?
Oh goodness. This might take a while. So of course, as a fan, it started when I was a kid. I'm old enough that I have seen Return of the Jedi in the theater in 1983. I was very little, but I remember it because the film strip broke right in the middle of the scene where the Ewok steals the speeder, and so that has been like burned in my brain forever because like everybody in the audience started screaming and stuff. So that's one of my friends like no. So that's one of my like earliest movie going memories anyway. So yeah, I know I've seen some Star Wars in the theater, and then as an '80s kid, we all had the VHS tape recorded off of HBO, and we'd watch it over and over again. And so I was already a fan. It was kind of just kind of me though. I mean, my family liked it, my sister liked it, but I didn't have any like Star Wars friends or anything. So, but I was, I'd seen it so many times. I think I had it, the first one at least memorized. And then by 2007, I think I started working professionally on Star Wars on a game called Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah, I played that game.
Yay, cool. Yeah, so I had played it. I was already working in community management when the opportunity came up to move over to Sony to work on Star Wars Galaxies. So I worked on the community team there for a couple of years. So that was my first professional experience with Star Wars Galaxies. And then after we moved up to Seattle, because that was in Austin, I went freelance, and that's what I'm doing now with the writing and all that stuff. So kind of a long road to get here, but Star Wars is a pretty common through line there.
Yes. And my earliest movie going experience is also Star Wars. It's not Return of the Jedi, it's Phantom Menace. I like to say that when Darth Maul activated that second lightsaber, that's when my consciousness began.
You're like your canon moment in Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's just like that was me. It was just like, I'm a person now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So as a writer and someone that's worked for Star Wars, you're going to have some, unique perspective and some interesting answers on this next go around with the favorites. So as a writer, what's your favorite Star Wars book?
Favorite Star Wars book? That's a tough one to answer. It's actually, I feel like a very biased. I have two very biased answers. One is Be More Obi-Wan because I wrote it.
Yeah.
And then my favorite novel right now is Brotherhood by Mike Chen, and that's because there's a character named after me in that one. So it's a very, very selfish reason for that to be my favorite. But I also really like the story Mike wrote, and I feel like he really gets Anakin and Obi-Wan, and so I think that's one of my favorite novels, even if Noxie Kell isn't in it.
He did a phenomenal job with that book, and I remember you, Mike, and Adam Christopher all tweeting around that time at each other when you guys had your different books coming out, and how you guys were like a little trio. Like, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. I still can't believe he did that. That was really cool.
Yeah, it's nice that I think with the advent of social media and what it seems to be like with the Luminous Five and beyond with the High Republic team, like all the authors working together, talking together, collaborating. I think that's really really cool.
Yeah, it feels more like one big team.
Hmm. So then, uh, and I feel like the character named after you would fall into this category. But who are three of your favorite characters from Legends or canon, any era?
um, I guess she would probably fall in there, yeah. But I guess let's think. So my number one has been Darth Vader for a long time, but the
Hmm.
more because of writing about Obi-Wan and the more stories that have been coming out, like he's creeping up on the first place there. So it's
Hmm.
getting close to being a tie between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. Darth Vader because he started as just like such a menacing figure, and then over the years he's become so much more. I just think the whole character journey is fascinating for him. And then I would probably say third would be BD1 because he's so cute. And I
I
also have
see
a
your
little,
Yep, I
yeah,
see your BD
I
one
have a
right
little
there.
mini collection there, and there's a Vader there,
Mm.
and the Obi-Wan there. So yeah, those are definitely my peeps.
BD one is definitely a good boy with his little happy little tips.
He's the
You know,
best boy.
yeah. Uh, I do remember, like, obviously I love the Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games, but then seeing a BD unit in Mando
Oh,
or
that was
on
so
Tatooine,
good.
I flipped out. We're like, is that a BD? It's like I want one. I want one
Yeah,
now.
he's so cute.
I need to go to Disneyland to see the real ones that they have.
I saw that. That
Yeah,
was when they like kind of walked along. That was really cool.
yeah. Don't have to take a picture. I just need to point and be like, it's a BD. Uh, what is your favorite Star Wars quote?
My favorite Star Wars quote. Ever since I was little, and this one made it into my Be More Obi-Wan book, it was Obi-Wan saying, who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him? First of
Hmm.
all, kid me thought that was the wisest thing she ever heard. Like, wow, this guy knows things. Like, what a profound statement. And but the older I get, I've kind of found like different applications for that one. It is actually pretty wise to stop and think at things from a different point of view, as the same guy likes to say. So that's always been my favorite just because it seems so smart, and also because I've thought about it like many times myself, especially when I was like chasing a boy or something. Not really.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah. So yeah, I've always loved that one.
Yeah, we've all been in that scenario of chasing someone we shouldn't be. So
Right.
yeah, you know what? If I was younger, if I had thought of that quote in that context, oh, that would have saved me so much time.
I know, right? It's something we should all ask ourselves when different points in our lives.
Yeah, I mean that kind of leads into what was going to be my mystery box question, which would have been, or which still will be, Obi-Wan giving advice in different scenarios, and one of them was going to be in love life. But there you
Yeah,
go,
that's
that
like
perfect.
it's something I actually used. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll cycle back to that one, but the next one would be so musically, Star Wars has phenomenal, iconic music throughout the trilogies, the TV shows. So what is your favorite musical piece from Star Wars?
So yeah, when I was a kid, we couldn't really. All we had was the tape. I couldn't take the movie with me now like we could. So I would always listen to the whole first CD on like my Walkman or
Hmm.
my Discman, and so that whole soundtrack's really special to me. It feels like watching the movie because that's how I would watch it in my head at the time. But I think my number one favorite is sort of a an odd one that I don't think is like given as the answer very much. I think it's called Escape from Cloud City and Hyperspace. It's one of the
Mm-hmm.
last pieces in Empire Strikes Back, where it's Luke is hanging on the thing in Cloud City, and he hears the voice and everything, and then the music cuts into them, escaping, trying to get away, with Luke going down the hatch and stuff. And for some reason, that music piece, like it has everything. It's got the Force
Hmm.
theme. It's got, I think, even the Imperial themes mixed in there. So it's always been like, and then it gets really exciting as they escape. And so it's always been like that one perfect piece of music for me that I'll put on every once in a while just to get like, I don't know, a feel for Star Wars. I don't know how to
Hmm.
say it, but it's like it's very uh indicative of all the music, and so I think that's why it kind of became my favorite piece. So
Very quintessential Star Wars piece of
yeah.
music. Yeah. I still, whenever I see that scene, I can't help but think of Family Guy's parody of it, where they have, instead of turn that beat around, it's turn the ship around. Luke is still, on Bespin, and
Nice.
I can't, even when I'm watching the actual Empire Strikes Back, I just think about that in my head.
You can't help it.
Yeah, I can't help it. Okay. Now we're going to get your Jackbox question. So it's going to be Obi-Wan giving advice in different
Okay.
scenarios. So
Oh
we
gosh.
are
Okay.
we covered the love life one
Yeah.
already. What about as a parent, you've had a tough day, and your kids there, they're going through it, and you got to dig deep and find that emotional resonance to be there for your kid. What would Obi-Wan say to a parent in that scenario?
Mm. He does have one quote that I kind of feels like it sums him up, and it was actually like what kind of helped guide me as I wrote the book, and I feel like it works for almost every situation. But it's when he's in episode 2, when he's kind of chastising Anakin. He says three things. He says patience, use the Force, and think. Like
Hmm.
that's what he stops and he tells Anakin, and I feel like that's pretty much him for every, like his philosophy for every situation. So I always try to keep that in mind now. Patience, use the Force, obviously, just calm down and take a look at the situation and think. And I feel like that's very Obi-Wan, and that's something that I try to do as a parent and something I try to do as a writer and a
Hmm.
person. and it's and yeah, that's, to me, that's Obi-Wan. When I saw that scene, I was like, okay, that's him. And so I feel like as advice, that one can apply to a whole bunch of things. So I know I tell myself patience a lot as a parent.
How many times do you think a day and Obi-Wan thought that about Anakin?
I know. How many times you must have probably said the same three words over and over again too. Patience. Use the Force. Think.
Okay. Next scenario. So you're at a restaurant. They gave you the wrong food, but you don't really want to bother the waiter and tell them you got the wrong thing. What would Obi-Wan say to say to you then?
um, I don't know why, but I can just picture that look on his face when he says the negotiations were short. Like he might not even say anything, but that's the face he would make. That like that he knows he's being sassy face. That's
Mhm.
I don't know if that's a quote, but that's totally what I think he would do in that situation.
Yeah, so, you're right, Master. The negotiations were short.
And then he gives that little smirk.
Yeah, I sassy Obi-Wan is the best Obi-Wan.
hmm
Yeah. And then the last scenario. So Obi-Wan is a sports coach and needs to
Okay.
give a motivational speech. Right before it's like the crunch time. Only a few seconds left of the game. You gotta motivate your team to
Oh,
score.
he would just drop the Force. You would be will be with you always. I think because any who can't be inspired when they hear him
Hmm.
say that, like right before he leaves Luke on the Death Star, and after the Death Star is destroyed. Like, how could you not like just feel so inspired just hearing that?
So after the team wins, does he just like then just his suit just he just fades away
He
into the
fades
force? This is just after
definitely.
they win, it's like it's over. Just bye.
Yep, just work here is done.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on to the show. It was great talking to you.
You
Uh,
too.
Before we go, where can the people find you, and do you have anything coming out soon?
So you can still find me on Twitter. Unfortunately, I can't stop it. So I'm Kelly underscore Knox on there. I have two books out in April: Star Wars Dad Jokes and Return of the Jedi Visual Archive. So keep an eye out for those. And some more things that I think might be announced soon.
Oh, well, looking forward to those announcements.
Thanks.
Thank you again for coming on, and for everybody watching, make sure you pick up Star Wars Dad Jokes to either gift to the parents in your life, or if you are a parent yourself, so that you can use on your kids, and the Return of the Jedi Visual Archives. Uh, until next time, remember, there are more of us.